but the chat window will be after we get through my notes. Hello, bright and shiny beacons of light. It's Michael Sandler and
Jessica Lee.
And we are coming to you from where?
Outside our house.
Outside our house, Roaring Forks Valley in Colorado. We've got hummingbirds, we've got chipmunks, we've got golden-eared squirrels, golden something squirrels?
Mantle.
What is a mantle on a squirrel?
I don't know. Is this a mantle?
I guess that's a mantle. So we've got golden.
Coif.
That doesn't sound good. We're going to go with the mantle. We have so much fun stuff to talk with you about tonight. It has been a miraculous weekend. We just had, to me, it was the miracle of miracle weekends. Would you agree?
Yeah.
In other words, it wasn't too shabby. And it's something that started from so long ago. And when you draw back a thread in life, you can now see it coming to a point like this. But you never know how it's going to take place. And so we called this day, or called this weekend, Jessica called it a creation node.
Actually, I called it a Genesis node.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. She called it a Genesis node. And a Genesis node because it was one of those points in the timeline which you pass through, kind of like a tight, narrow doorway, but in this time, very comfortable. Mm-hmm. That births something new, it's
one of those events where when you look back on your life, you think, oh, that was a really pivotal moment. That's when a big shift took place. And then we started heading down this new track that we never imagined going down.
Yeah. And in this case, there was some imagination, but I think it was happening.
There was imagination, but we couldn't have planned the way things worked out.
Not a chance we could have planned it. So we ended up, and we're going to tell you more about it. We ended up at the, I call it the Air Day Festival, but I guess it's the R. They like pronouncing it like a pirate. The R Day Festival.
ARE, which stands for?
American Renewable Energy. And it's the American Renewable Energy Day Symposium, which I'm not quite sure how that works out. I guess it was a day.
Yeah.
It expanded.
To 3
days. We met so many amazing conscious and awake people after people, the kind of people that we were meeting at this event, all from around the world, here to help change the planet, save the planet, really save the world. Such passionate, on fire, inspired. And what was really cool to me is conscious, awake, and aware individuals. Mm-hmm. So, and a lot of, I'm an indigenous grandma groupie.
Okay.
Is there a better way to put it? I get down.
What about the indigenous grandpas?
I didn't meet many indigenous grandpas there. I met indigenous grandmas and indigenous aunties. I would be very down.
Where are the grandpas?
It's a very good question. I haven't met many indigenous grandpas.
Okay.
I would be perfectly down with them as well, but I like hearing from the elders because I think that's how we're going to shift humanity. That's how we're going to shift planet. And in this event, we were talking in a sense about climate, but about how climate is bringing us together as one. But I think it is this old wisdom that we have collectively, I almost want to say chosen to have forgotten. Our modern path has chosen to forgotten. That is really here to help save us. And so it was a phenomenal event. I think we made not just friends, but lifelong connections. I believe maybe even a mentor or two. And I believe no matter where you are on your path, I can only speak for myself, we all need a mentor.
So the fancy term we call people who we really resonate with is?
Homies.
We met a lot of homies.
And if you're listening to this, if you're watching this,
you guys are our homies.
You are totally our homies. And we like to, it doesn't have to be, but for myself, my homies have a very high huggability factor. They are very, very huggable. And we met some incredibly huggable people this weekend. And so I want to talk with you about how this came about, how we had such a miraculous weekend, how you can attract these miracles as well. And really, we're going to talk about manifesting by allowing miracles to come from the universe. But before we do that, a bit of housekeeping. First off, we are manifesting iMeditations. It is coming more slowly than we ever expected. But
not because we've hit roadblocks.
No.
There have been these other wonderful opportunities that have presented themselves, like this 3-day event. which we thought, we'll go to one talk here, one talk there. We were highlighting in the schedule what we
Yeah.
wanted to go to, and then you ended up going and staying for like 3 whole days.
I did. Well, so this is a head versus a heart conundrum. So head says, I want to go, this is a 3-day symposium. I want to go to this event. I want to go to that event. I want to go to the other event. I want to meet special people. I want to make connections. I want to get people for the show. I wanna. That's the ego talking. I wanna. But in fact, we're addicted to this I wanna. It sounds like a Native American plant, or not a Native American, a native plant, the I wanna plant. But the trick is, manifesting miracles is not about I wanna. It's about we wanna give to you rather than I wanna get from you.
You want to give to who?
The universe wants to gift to us if we are open. The universe wants to give to us. If we're saying, I wanna, gimme, we close ourselves off to that flow, to those gifts from the universe. And so this weekend, I realized quite quickly, it's not my time, it's not my journey, it's not my place to even say. I just have to be open and allow. Who am I going to sit next to? Don't try to figure it out. Just sit down and allow
That's
whatever
right.
happens.
So you were actually given the opportunity to contact the speakers ahead of time and set up interviews ahead of the event. And we've been busy, so that didn't happen. And you started to kick yourself about that, and then you stopped.
I've been having a lot of fun. I'm cringing as I say that. I'm going to go fun lately of watching my ego rather than doing the ego stance. And so on the morning of the event, my ego is going, you didn't reach out, you didn't schedule interviews, you didn't do this, you're unprepared, blah, 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 blah.
We didn't have our updated business cards made
We
yet.
didn't have any business cards from me. Forget about updated.
Yeah,
we didn't
you had
have
my business cards.
any. And when we first actually showed up there the first evening, your phone had died. I had given you your phone. I didn't even have a notebook to take notes in. I had
You
nothing.
didn't even know your phone number yet, did you?
Between you and me, I did not know my phone number. It's been a backup phone, which is now officially a phony phone.
He now has his cell phone number memorized.
I do. I was about to give it out here, but let's not go
there.
No. We love you guys. However, so my ego really wanted to kick myself. And what I said is, look, there are two choices you can go down this road. You can either hold on for dear life and try to figure out your way, muscle your way through this weekend, or you can just let go, and whatever magic is supposed to happen will happen.
Did you set an intention? And if so, what was that intention before the event started?
My intention was for this to work out for our highest good, for the highest good of all, for the station, for our work, for the program, for everything. But without saying, I'm going to try to get X number of guests for the show, I'm going to try to make Y contacts. None of that, actually. Just my traditional fallback of certainly praying to the archangels, praying to God, source, universe, praying to the elders, the ancestors, and saying, make this the most special event for my highest good, for the highest good of all. And I dropped all the rest.
And I guess on a subconscious level, and this is just how you are in day-to-day life, is you're always out there trying to connect with people and make friends.
Yes. And so when I do coaching, and I'm going to get back to our bit of housekeeping before we dive into other things, but when I do coaching or when I do an interview, and I just had the most amazing interview today with Wim Hof. He was crazy. He was insane. He was awesome.
Wim Hof's also known as the Iceman.
He's known as the Iceman, and I used to run around Boulder barefoot in the snow. You can Google Michael Sandler snow, and you'll find me running through snowstorms barefoot. Jessica and I running through snow barefoot. There's even a beautiful video of Let's Go Surfing Now with the two of us running through snow barefoot.
Yeah.
So people used to yell, Iceman, and I'm going, who is the Iceman? Well, we had him on the show today. That was incredible. But where specifically was I going with that? We're talking about manifestation.
I just took a note on housekeeping.
We were allowing into everything. I wasn't attempting. And I hope people, please let us know if you can't hear with this wind going, because that may be a reason we need to position ourselves differently strategically in the future. But there was no attachment to any particular outcome. And by having no attachment, I allowed the miracles to come in, and much more than I ever could expect it. So first off, a few housekeeping notes. First off, subscribe below, subscribe below, subscribe below, and make sure you turn on the notifications link so that you can find out when we have new videos coming out. So make sure you're subscribed and sign up for notifications.
And the notifications link is actually a
bell?
bell button next to
Excellent.
the subscribe, I believe.
Next, we are kicking it. Is that the right term to do it? On Instagram, we are working, struggling, challenged, figuring this out. The My Story, our post, everything. So come join us on Instagram. That's Inspire Nation Live. You can find us on Instagram, Inspire Nation Live. We also are 100% supported by you, our audience. So if you want real behind the scenes info, tips, secrets, what's going on between Jessica and myself, you can come on over to patreon.com, patreon.com/Inspire Nation. Become a member of the Inspire Nation family. Help support us. Your love and support is what helps us keep going, because we're 100% supported by you, our audience. On that note, I have a few spots open for fall coaching. So if you're interested in coaching for this fall, you need to come on over to inspirenationshow.com/coaching. Again, inspirenationshow.com. Yes, I'm talking to you. /coaching, and sign up for a free one-on-one strategy session with me, specifically to find out if coaching is right for you. Let's see. Any other notes that we want to come up with?
How long is the wait list right now to get in for coaching?
Wait list is just shy of a month. My guess is by this time next week, this is a guess, we're going to be out at least 2 months and going out further from there. So if you're looking to make your fall the time that you make these great shifts, that you manifest what you desire in your life, or you find what I call the PPD, you want to find your purpose, your path, your direction, or simply get unstuck, then contacting me now allows me to help you this fall to get unstuck, to get on path, and to attract things into your life, whether that's health, wealth, new job, new partner, whatever it is that you desire. But you need to reach out now, because there is that window of time before we're able to meet. And it's historically slow through the summer. The most recent we had was a waiting list, I think, of about 2 to 3 weeks. And then come in some point at the fall, we're actually probably going to be looking at coaching come next year. So with that said, I want to go back in time. And I guess I have to go back. I have to go way on back. So this summer I saw a medium, and it was because of the medium that this event happened this weekend. But this medium took place because we had our publicist visit us, our publicist who we hired 10 years, think about 10 years ago. And that publicist was hired because we were promoting the book Barefoot Running, which came out of an accident that I had, and learning how to heal from that accident. But learning how to heal from that accident actually had to do with an accident way in the past when I was 10 years of age, and learning there are no limits and there's a way to come back from everything. And so if we pull on the string of this timeline of life, this is literally decades ago.
So you have gratitude for your accidents, even though you don't wish for any more accidents.
I don't wish for any more accidents, but it would be hard. God, they were so freaking painful. But it would be hard for me to say that I wish life had gone any differently. That wouldn't be fair to say. Everything really did happen so that these miracles would occur this weekend. Now, going forward to July 4th specifically,
of this year,
or actually, I think it was July 2nd or 3rd, I had an appointment with a medium. She was telling me I was 1 to 2 degrees off, that everything was very close, but I needed a little fine tuning. And she said that I needed to back off of the gas, and I needed to do things differently right away. And it actually really bothered me, because I'm working to back off of the gas, and I didn't know what in the world to do. It really actually frustrated the hell out of me. And I left there going, what do you, I saw birds take off as I just raised my voice. What do you want me to do? And the only thing I heard, it wasn't really a hearing, it was just a knowing, is a deeper level of surrender. A deeper level of I surrender, I don't know what's best, I don't know how to attract. And we're excellent manifestors. Just look at where we live. That's a whole story unto itself. It's dumbfounding that we're actually here and that we've come this far. but I had no idea what to do. And so in that surrender, we got an amazing phone call for an opportunity with a spiritual radio station worldwide. That was very cool. I think something else happened the next day. And then I think it was 2 days later is July 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And we're, quote, late to go. Oh, we seem to always be late, which is actually really on time. That's why I put it in quotes. We're late to go to.
The best stuff happens when we're late.
The best stuff does happen
It's
when
not
we're
just
late.
fashionable.
No, it really when we're late, we're letting go. Maybe we need to change that word late into let.
Really?
Yes, because I had to let go. You're going, well, you go nuts first, then I let go.
Yes, that is honest.
Truth be told. But I let go. And in letting go, well, I guess that's
you don't
true.
like chopping off your hair.
I'm enjoying the golden mantle or the brown mantle look here, kind of taking after the birds. There's birds that come here in the fall that are called Elvis,
The
and I've
salty
got
brown mantle.
Hey now. So, dear one, we're heading to this event. We can stress and strive and push to try to get there. In fact, we parked. It's so ironic that we parked in a different place. Wasn't that the day that we had the flat tires and all sorts of good stuff happen? I think it was. Because
July
then we
4th?
because then we got back and we were there for the salsa event.
That wasn't July 4th.
Okay, that was another time.
Anyway,
we let go. We got there right before the parade, and Jessica's kind of delirious, blood sugar low. First off, we meet somebody who owns TV station after TV station, which is really cool because we're working on our pilot for our TV program. So that was really cool. And we'd already had an indirect introduction to somebody who worked for her. So there's a great synchronicity. But then after the parade, or it's finishing up, and you're like, Michael, I need food. Why did she need food so badly? Because we were late and we hadn't gotten her food. And she's like,
and we had
help
biked
me.
up the valley uphill.
We
to get to
had
this parade
20 or 30 miles uphill on the tandem.
Day. And yes, we're on the tandem. He's in front. Everybody's like, why are you in front? Well, I'm not in front because the front of the bicycle is much longer and I just wouldn't reach the handlebars. But we should maybe consider a custom bike where the front's shorter and I could be in front.
Ooh,
but
wow, there's a whole control issue I get to work
on. So when you're sitting in the back of a tandem, the person in front blocks all of the wind.
Which is good at certain times of the year.
Which is great in the winter, but in the summertime, it gets really toasty in the back.
So you're delirious, you need food, you need water. You're like, Michael. And I throw on my Superman cape. Doo, 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 doo. I shall save you. I will go to New York Pizza.
Yeah, you were like, what kind of pizza do you want? I'm like, I don't know. Just get me something.
So, and I did. I got you the everything pizza. And on the way back, I don't remember, it was on the way back, we had seen a Chevy Volt go by in the parade. And we have the most beautiful, I'm totally biased, yellow shine bright Tesla with gold wheels. You just got to help everybody to shine bright.
You know, I used to think she was the most beautiful, but I saw one in California that was like metallic, purplish and some light and silver and other light.
Might have been Elon's car.
I don't know.
So, because you were right outside of Silicon Valley.
That's true.
So okay. So she's the second most beautiful Tesla out there, but in my heart, she will always be the most beautiful. But there is this Chevy Volt driving around with some stickers on it. I didn't know what they meant, and I was like, we need, because they had like motorcycles in this parade and Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all sorts of cars spewing fumes, and just my heart was tugging to me. I had never thought this before. We need to start an electric car club. And so I'm thinking about this, and I get you your pizza, and I come back. They're finishing the parade. I see the Chevy Volt again. And I'm like, I should go speak to this guy.
Uh-huh.
And I never had. This is where you've got to watch. You've got to watch for what the universe is bringing you, because it really is a scavenger hunt, where don't get attached to the next piece of the puzzle. Don't get attached to the next Where's Waldo. Just grab whatever feels right and see where that leads you to the next piece and to the next piece and the next piece.
Which takes a bit of bravery.
It does.
Especially for someone who's introverted. They might feel drawn to go speak to somebody, but their nature might make them like withdraw. And so, which, that's my personal experience. There's this tug of war. I'm like, should really go speak to that person. Oh, I could be rejected or say something stupid.
And I really used to struggle with that. And then I would kick myself afterwards.
Uh-huh.
First it would be girls a long time ago.
Yeah.
Why didn't I go speak to that girl? And then it would be, even a guy on a bicycle. He had the coolest bicycle. I feel like I was supposed to say hi to him.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And it's a muscle.
Mhm.
And I've worked on that muscle.
Yeah.
And so I go over to this vehicle, this Chevy Volt, with no urge to start an electric car club, but now all of a sudden an incredible urge
Mhm.
to start an electric car club. And I start talking to this gentleman, and his name is Chip, and he runs this symposium called Our Day,
Yeah.
which stands for American Renewable Energy Day.
Mhm.
And he invites us to attend. First off, he shares incredible Native American wisdom. Didn't see that coming. Shares so much about this world on a level as a homie that we talk about, but not really talk about with others in the local community so much.
Yeah. So it's just really encouraging to meet people who are both um, like scientific and research based, but then also have this spiritual side too, and
Yeah.
and see that combined.
And so he's telling us about this new hydrogen device called Hero coming out of Australia, and he's going to have this gentleman at the symposium and a way to have free energy, and it was just too cool. And he invites us to this event, and so that synchronicity came out of surrendering and allowing and saying, I don't know best, and I'm not going to try to force things. And then that synchronicity led us to attending the event where we met the most amazing person after person. Once or when early on I stopped trying to drive the ship, even as so far as you come into a lunch and you look at this room and head says, let me figure out who I should sit next to and say hi to. And heart just sits down and then all of a sudden finds myself in another chair and finds myself in another chair and another chair. Not because I'm trying to do anything. Like I'll just all of a sudden hop up and then sit down next to somebody and go, hi, I'm Michael. Who are you? Or hi, I'm Michael. You seem to be sitting alone. Mind if I join you?
So can you kind of describe the feeling that would come up that would cause you to get up and go sit next to someone? Or
So on the last night, and I want you to share about the miracle that took place on the last night. But on the
Mhm.
last night, we're at this table. We're in downtown Aspen. We're at a series of tables. And I felt called, a pull to sit next to a gentleman who's wearing a baseball hat with a feather in his cap.
Mhm.
And whenever I have a hat on and I find a feather, it's going right in my cap. I have way too many feathers on my desk before each and every interview, before each and every coaching session. And in fact, a long time ago in a distant world, when we paced Barefoot Ted, famous character in Christopher McDougall's book, Real Guy, Born to Run, and the founder of Luna Sandals, when I paced him for the Leadville 100, some people in the van as we were going out to Leadville to do this were saying, wow, you're always got a feather in your cap. We should call you White Feather. That didn't stick, didn't quite feel right. But
Right.
I was drawn to this gentleman on Sunday with a feather in his cap.
Uh-huh.
Drawn to. No thought, no reasoning behind it,
Uh-huh.
just a pull
Mhm.
toward him. And I spoke with a lot of people first as I was kind of working, sort of trying to get my way over there, meet one amazing person, meet another amazing person, and another. But I just felt this draw. It almost felt like, no, it did feel like inevitability. And that actually feels like where we're going with the show. It feels like what we're going with helping change, shift humanity. I believe I'm going to work with world leaders. We talked about this last week about Michael. Why do you mention what you hope to manifest on the show?
Mhm.
Because some people believe, many people believe, if you put it out there, somebody's going to shoot you down.
Mhm.
And I thought about this after the show. And I put it out there because I believe when you put it out there, tumblers start to fall in place from the universal padlock.
Can I say one thing about that?
Yes.
I feel like once you can get past your parents shooting your ideas down, or once they stop shooting your ideas down,
Mm.
I don't think anyone else is going to have as much power
It's true.
as the people that you grew up with. Like my parents have
The voodoo magic powers over you.
yeah, they don't put me down. I can't think of any time recently where they've put my ideas down. They stopped doing that a few years ago. But if they were to try to, they would probably have the most potential to actually succeed.
Yeah.
And you moved past that many years ago.
So yeah, I was fortunate about that. Of maybe it was because they I love my parents dearly, so I want to say this in the most beautiful way. They rode me so hard that I unhitched that piece. They crossed the line. It's like I was doing tapping work with a coaching client last week,
Uh-huh.
and we when we tap, we look for the
That's
most
EFT tapping,
EFT
emotional
tapping.
freedom technique.
And, and you tap through all these different pressure points, looking for the most negative statement you can, so that it will short out in your mind. You combine positives with negatives until you switch a fuse and it kind of blows out. And I'm working with her and they're tapping on something that was the biggest emotional trigger in the world. And about 2/3 of the way through, she just started giggling. It completely diffused, it melted away. Her inner self could see the, in a sense, silliness. It wasn't silly, it's extremely important, but the silliness of it. And at some point, my parents rode me enough
Uh-huh.
that I'm like, what? You're telling me to do what with my life? And I could see beyond that. And I love them so dearly. In fact, my mom on my Facebook page just last night gave me the most beautiful badge of pride. I've got a birthday coming up, and it was the most beautiful thing she has ever written to me in her whole life. I'm scared of what you're writing, Pookie.
I'm just letting them know when your birthday is.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I think that's in public domain.
I think so. So, yes, going back to this gentleman who I met. I believe that I'm going to be working with world leaders. I see it coming as an inevitability. I feel it in my soul, just like I feel books coming in my soul. And in fact, I've got a book contract to sign tonight, a multi-book contract to sign tonight. How does it get any better than this? How often can you say that? I've got a multi-book contract to sign tonight. Woohoo! Thank you, Jack. Jack was my mentor. He was my best man at the wedding at 89 years young. And he could see it coming for years, this inevitability. That feeling of inevitability, without cockiness, without attachment, is what I was feeling throughout that event this weekend. And in meeting this gentleman who is a spiritual advisor to world leader after world leader, he's scrolling through, after I did meet with him, he's scrolling through his iPhone, his photos. He's like, here's me with the Pope. Here's me with Lech Walesa. Here's me with Gorbachev. Here's me with this more recent president. Here's me with this more recent president. I was just drawn to him without thought. And that is the place when we talk about attracting miracles. Miracles don't come from the head. They never do. You can't head out a miracle. It's sort of like going to the lottery, going to buy your ticket and saying, well, if I do the equation on pi versus s squared, it says that the first number will be a 17. And if I look at the circumference of the earth and I multiply that, then the next number will clearly be a 13.
Sounds like fun.
And by God, I will get that number. It doesn't work. You intuit, you heart it. The car pulls over to the side of the road, and the next thing you find yourself buying a lottery ticket. You find yourself knocking on the door. You find yourself speaking to a beautiful girl or beautiful guy or who knows what, because you just follow that impulse without thought. Did that successfully answer that?
I forget what the question was, but
you had asked the question. You had asked specifically when you were there.
That question. Okay. It's a little long-winded, but yes, you succeeded.
So let's go back. Let's talk about the miracle that led to me meeting this gentleman who I was supposed to meet.
Well, I was wondering if we should give them some more how-to before we dive into another story.
I think the stories are giving the how-to.
Okay.
I think the stories are giving the how-to. And people, if you feel we're not giving enough how-to, just put it in the chat window here and we'll do it.
Or ask some questions.
Yes.
And we'll make it more interactive.
I like that.
rather than leave the questions all to the end.
I like that. I like that. I like that. So we're driving along on Sunday. So Sunday morning I get up. The event goes through Saturday evening. I'm in mourning as it ended because it was just so beautiful, met so many incredible people. But Sunday morning I realized I could go back to the hotel where the event was and go meet more people. And you know what I said to myself?
What did you say?
I said, self, that would be and it being an adrenaline
Did
junkie.
you really say self or did you say Michael?
I knew you would say that. And I said neither self nor Michael. I don't have to address myself as first, second, or third person. It'd get rather confusing. I just know when I'm talking to me, it's me. It's not the guy behind me, it's me.
Hey, you.
Hey, you. That works great. You who's trying to look like a peacock or an Elvis or whatever. So,
You're a golden mantle squirrel.
I'm like a golden mantle squirrel, but salty, as she says. Thank you, Pookie. I wake up and said, you could go chase down the magic, in essence. That would be head, saying I need to get there. And it was such a full-on 3 days that I thought that would be very adrenaline junkie-esque. It would be like trying to grab more. You already had plenty of magic. Why do you need to grab another person or something, as if they're trophies and meeting all these different people? Yes, not grab.
Does it ever feel like that?
What's that? No. And I didn't. But I had asked myself, self, if you go, why would you go? And that was the answer, was that I would want to try to force the magic and get another person for this, meet another person for that.
Okay.
Like when I pulled up on Saturday night with Yellow Tessie, I met this most amazing person. I guess he was a biographer of Bill Clinton's. He was somebody who worked close with Tony Robbins. And we're just talking magic, amazing connection. Probably be on the show. We're talking about my yellow Tesla. That was out of synchronicity and not trying to force it. If I pulled up the car and said, who can I speak with now that I have the car here? That's what I didn't want to do. And it felt like Sunday morning.
So Sunday morning, you felt a sense of completion then?
My heart felt like, leave it alone. My head felt like, go, push, strive, drive. But I was able to recognize the difference between the two. So even though ego was throwing a very minor hissy fit, saying, butta, I gotta, I'm like, let it go. Whatever magic happened is not going to go away just because this festival ended. You are in flow. Fast forward a few hours. We are driving to a symphony, having nothing to do. It's the next town over, having nothing to do with our day. And we have friends who save a spot for us by putting a blanket down. We have no idea on just how crowded the last outdoor symphony of the year would be in Aspen. It was crazy. And we're stuck in traffic. And guess what? This is where the magic comes from. We were
late.
Hello, we were late. Letting go. We're letting go in the car. And we get into town late, and I take a turn that I had no plans on taking.
A little shortcut.
That was an intuitive decision at the last second. Do we take it? Do we not?
You asked me before I could answer. The car was already making the turn.
Made the turn, get near the symphony from a completely different direction, not where we usually park at all. See a space. We're not that close.
Pretty far, a few blocks away.
Drive past the space. And what happened?
And I'm starting to panic. I'm like, but...
Insert silent screams here. And it's important to listen to your silent screams.
Yes. And they were silent because I didn't want to alarm him while he's driving, because there are a lot of cars and there are a lot of people and there's a frantic energy. People are rushing to get to the event because it was starting in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it really felt like rush hour in New York City and chaos from all directions.
Right. So part of my silent screaming must have been about not wanting to
be in the cluster.
Yeah.
The other word is fudge. It's a candy. And so I think you may have said something to the effect of, we should not go in any further to this cluster. And I was like, we need to go back to that space. And I start pulling a U-turn, as I am frequently doing. in the middle of an intersection where I thought it was safe, where normally you would be screaming.
And certain more silent screams because
or not so silent
you
screams.
hadn't signaled. Nobody in point knew what you were doing, but fortunately, everyone was driving slow enough that
walking pace. This was a walking pace turn, and I put as soon as I started turning the signals on, and I turn around and we go back. That space is taken, but there's one across the street, and I start to go into that space. And do you know what I said?
Self. This is
Self?
not the space for you.
This is not the droid and not the space that you are looking for. No, I said it doesn't feel right. Now, when we're talking about attracting miracles, it's about the feeling.
The head thought it was right because it's pointing in the direction that we would head after the event.
Absolutely.
Which, in the end, is not the direction we went.
Whoa, that's kind of cool.
We'll get to that later.
And so I said it didn't feel right. And I actually made that thought. I turned the car around to park behind the car where we would have parked. So one more space back, big deal. But it would be facing in the opposite direction of the direction I thought we were going to leave. And yet, so from a head perspective, it made no sense at all. Made none at all. But
I thought you'd like the wide shoulder.
The wide shoulder, but the dirt was nice. But I pulled in and I said, I literally said this out loud. Ah,
that feels good.
Yeah.
So we get out of the car and another car pulls up and they roll down their window and they go, "Are you guys going to the music tent?" And
no, festival. They said festival because I was confused going, what festival are they talking about? And I said, well, we're going to the Benedict music tent.
And and I was like, isn't everybody going to the same place? But it turns out that, so we said yes, and then they parked right behind us. And it turns out that they were at our day, the same symposium that we were at all weekend.
They were our dayers, and they saw me and recognized me with the peacock hair, with the yellow glasses. It was kind of hard to miss, and we immediately struck up such a bonding conversation that we actually didn't leave the parking space for several minutes until I think you said we need to actually go to the concert, and it was just magical who we met, and my guess is out of that meeting, not just that we'll talk about the next piece in a minute. But I have a feeling this is going to lead into a global meditation movement that we're going to build together with these people, where we're going to do led meditations. I guess we'll call it guided meditations online at the same place worldwide. Our goal of hitting a critical mass, 10% of the population, which is really like 777 million people. We're rounding up to 1 billion just for nice, clean numbers. But I think the connections we made out of this parking space will lead to a global meditation movement that the world's never seen before. Something incredibly cool is going to come out of that. And so we go to the concert.
Listen to the music. For some reason, our stress levels are still high.
She's looking at her watch and the stress levels are pinging, but we got like the stink eye from so many people it's outdoor. It's free on the outdoors. You can go inside. We've tried that before. It actually feels much more comfortable to be on the grass. To us, the outside seats, the cheap seats are anything but that because you get nature.
Yeah.
And so we got the stink eye. We sat down. It was stressful. People were a little bit nervous there. And how did it go?
It's all good. Well, I ended up still having a great time. But the highlight was actually meeting these people and then meeting them again after the event.
I do not text people. It is not my game. And in the middle of the symphony,
fumble fingers.
Oh my God. I used to be an awesome texter when there was phones with keyboards and keys that you could press and be tactile with. I was watching tonight when I sent a text to somebody and every single word had a typo in it. You type one word, you go back. You type one word, you go back, which can be rather frustrating. So, but halfway through the symphony, I felt called to reach out to them via text. Called. In fact, it was actually bothering me. I haven't connected with them. It's again, I want you looking for that pull or tug. And not just that pull or tug. When you feel it, you have to take action on it. And that's what I did. And I reached out to them.
And so we met up with them afterwards. And we were invited to another gathering.
With the head of our day, with an indigenous elder, with a girl who's leading all of the strikes worldwide to march for climate
A
justice.
17-year-old girl.
Yeah, by the name of ZA. So we met up with just the most incredible people. One woman who is protecting the bonobo in the Congo, and just the most amazing people. And the magic just continued from letting go.
From being late.
That's where I was going.
And that is where you met the gentleman with the hat and the feather sticking out of it.
Absolutely, which brings us full circle. And that never would have taken place had I, and I had actually missed his talk, which wasn't so much a spiritual talk from what I understand. I didn't see it, so I could be wrong. But I had missed his talk because there was only apparently so much time to do so many things. I'm trying to juggle the show and everything else at the same time. And the quote, missing, actually turned into a meeting. And so maybe that's the other theme here tonight, is everything that you think is wrong, or you think that is a miss, that you think is a late, if you're open and allow into it, is actually the flip side of a golden coin.
So there have been many instances in the past where you felt like you screwed something up.
Mm-hmm.
How many times has that screw up actually turned into a blessing in disguise?
All right, so let's talk about the screw up this weekend, the one that hurt the most.
Oh! Yeah.
Tessie got a boo-boo. I was driving and I'm in Snowmass Village, and it's got a parking garage with this double corkscrew thing that is really tight.
It's a very, very tight turn. I don't know how these big SUVs get through it. I think, we were looking at the curve the other day, and we could see how many others had done the
out
same.
of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm driving through this slowly, and my what do you call it, avoidance system on the last time down this corkscrew was going bing, bing, bing. And I had thought of actually backing up. I had thought of doing valet parking, but we're going to be going in and out and in and out and in and out. And it didn't seem to make any financial sense if you're leaving, 4 or 5 times to just keep on making the valet donation.
Yeah.
Versus free parking. So, it just didn't seem to make sense. And the parking garages were right next to each other. It didn't make sense. As I'm going down it, so it's going bing, bing, bing. You've got 20 inches, you got 15 inches, you got 11 inches. This one time down. So the next time down, I go down and I've got it far enough away from the curb where it's not beeping at all. And I'm like, wow, this is flow. This is so free. This is so easy. And the right rear wheel, rather than the left front, which was beeping, hit the curb and took some major curb rash.
On the wheel.
On the wheel. Yeah. Just on the wheel itself. And so there's a part of me that really wanted to kick myself.
Because they're pretty wheels.
They're pretty wheels. They're
aftermarket.
Golden wheels, golden spider wheels. And I love them. And they make Tessie. And so there's a part of me that wanted to kick myself. And yet I have to understand that when you say everything in life happens for a reason and everything is here to support you, that means the scraped wheel as well.
Yeah.
That absolutely does. It's hard for the ego to swallow. And so many times throughout that day, I was going into mourning, but I wasn't kicking myself.
You weren't.
You thought I was on the edge.
Yeah, you brought it up like a few dozen times in one day.
At least.
24-hour period.
And it led to me asking at valet, if I go in and out and in and out and in and out, do I have to pay each time? And the answer was, no, you only pay once. I never knew this. Only reason I asked was because I scraped a wheel. So the next day I'm going in and out, in and out. And that's how I ended up meeting this most incredible person, another most incredible person who will be on the show, which wouldn't have happened.
Because you used the valet.
Because I used the valet.
Yeah.
And wouldn't have happened had I not scraped the wheel. All of it. All of it, all of it is here to serve you. Even those screw ups or negatives or things where you think I'm off track, I'm weak, I lack motivation, I lack this, whatever it is that you're judging yourself. And I would encourage you, if you want to get into flow, the number one thing that you can do is, I was going to say love yourself up, but before that is stop kicking yourself for not loving yourself up. Because it's crazy. When I say love you up, I know that there are those of you, because I've been one of them, who will then get down on yourself if you're not loving yourself up.
So you're saying that in order to attract more miracles, a big part of that is self-love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can you attract miracles without self-love? Absolutely. Universe wants you to do good. It wants you to help you to serve.
Yeah. Would you call that grace?
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. I would absolutely say it, getting into grace, or scraping the curb, falling into grace. And we can fall into grace at any moment if we let go. And I think a component of that is forgiving ourselves so that we're in a place of non-judgment.
So when something terrible happens,
Yeah. Yeah.
would you say that one should start looking for the silver lining, the blessing in disguise, the potential miracle, the good that will come out of it?
It goes both ways. We don't need to force it with the mind.
Yeah.
When I go back to my first NDE, I knew something absolutely incredible was going to come out of it. I felt it in my bones. And at the same time, I had to choose that belief to be open to it, which is interesting. Not force it, not fight to say, what is it? What's the positive that's going to come out of it? But just to say, I am open to that, and I am willing to suspend disbelief and allow for that possibility. Because if I go, no, nothing's good's going to come out of this, this is just terrible, I lock it down. And I don't give the universe the opportunity. It's sort of like saying, I'm going to go sit over here, rather than say I'm open.
Well, it's kind of like with the miscarriages. We had 2 miscarriages in the last year. Both of us had thought, someday we're going to look back on this time period and go, thank God the baby came later. Thank God the baby came when she did and not when we wanted her to come.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. And that is such a, I'm very proud of you, I must say. I'm really proud of you for saying that.
It really, really hurts.
That's why I'm so proud of you for saying that. Because it is all, we don't get to cherry pick. It is all here to serve us. Now, with that said, I want to let's go miscarriage and let's go loss. I don't want anybody to think that if you lose a loved one, you go, woohoo, this is the greatest thing in the world. Something amazing is going to come out of it. That's bogus. Yes, something incredible will come out of it, but a loss is a loss is a loss is a loss. Take the time to mourn. Don't think you're not allowed to do that. Don't think that it ever has to fully heal and for you to be beyond it. It is what it is. And the most important thing that you can do is love yourself up during this time and ask for help. It's sort of like me going to the valet and going, I can't make this turn anymore. Help me. And help comes. Help absolutely comes.
So what happens when you're not in a state of self-love? When you're kicking yourself?
Well, for me, go ahead.
No,
you know what happens. Oh! I get instant karma, don't I? When I'm not in the state of self-love, universe just trashes me. It's just all over me to remind me you're out of flow, boy. Get back in right away. And so I trip, I fall, I get hurt, something happens.
Yeah. Well, miracles might still happen, but it's harder to be open to them, right?
Well, I've said it to you before. When I get in that place, whatever that place is, you could hand me $1 million. Forget about $1 million winning lottery ticket. You could hand me $1 million. And what am I going to say?
Why isn't it 10 million?
Good. I like it.
It should have been 100 million.
I like it too. Keep thinking bigger. Where's my $1 billion win? No, I would say, thank you, universe. I would say, not now, Pookie.
Oh.
And that's it. When we're locked down, when we're not being kind and loving and forgiving to ourselves, what we're saying to the universe is, not now, Pookie.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not open to receive right now.
Yeah.
And so the universe in its kind and loving and gentle way, will do its best to double back around. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to kick yourself if you're at this place in life, because I've done this time after time after time after time after time. Universe will always double back around for your
Oh, I
highest good
missed
and
my
highest good of all.
chance.
You never miss
Ugh.
your chance. There isn't, oh, I missed the one. I'm not with that tends to be the biggest one. It's about a person. They were the one, and the one got away.
Uh-huh.
I don't buy it. You?
No.
What's that mean?
Well, I had to check in, make sure that it,
Yeah.
you know.
There is no who is this other person?
There weren't that many. I think there were like 6 or 7 boyfriends before you.
And had you been with them, you would. Anyway, the point is, it's all on path. It's all on path, and it's all here to serve us. Anything more that you want to add about this before we dive into
Yeah,
some
just one little
questions?
thing. If you see like little birdies zipping around, the really fast ones are hummingbirds,
So right now, last year,
which are little miracles in themselves. And the fact is, we are surrounded by miracles all the time, everywhere we go. And just recognizing that helps attract more miracles, because you're in a state of gratitude. When you're like recognizing something as a miracle, I think you're automatically in a state of gratitude.
let's go with those hummingbirds for a minute, because this has to do with attracting miracles.
Mhm.
So last summer we had a fire about a mile and a half away on the mountain in front of us, giant inferno, 12,000 acres,
Mhm.
burned for several months, and we had one hummingbird feeder out, just one. We put it up the first day.
And then we had 2.
No hummingbirds showed up. We kept.
Oh yeah, you're right. There's just one.
A couple days later, we got like one.
And we've never used hummingbird feeders before, so I was like, are these really gonna work?
And then maybe one or two more, and at some point I think you said, why don't we get another feeder? And there weren't many hummingbirds at that point, and we got another feeder and there still weren't many, and then you had me get a few more. There was some leap of faith going on, that was an if you build it they will come, a feeling that having these feeders will attract magic in. And it turns out, with the fire, which hadn't started when we first put the feeder up, with the fire, the hummingbirds were looking for places to feed. And by the end of the summer, we estimated, based on the number of feeders that were filled at any one time, that we were feeding over 1,000 hummingbirds an hour. It's crazy. This summer, there's no fire, and we're not as far along in the season. We're at hundreds an hour. But it was a belief and a letting go, a recognizing that there is a miracle in progress, and getting out of the way and allowing the miracle to occur. I think there are more hummingbirds that want some food. Why don't we feed more of them?
Mhm.
That's how you act on a daily basis. Don't run out of hummingbird food, Michael.
Well, that actually made us late for something. Oh, it made us late for one of the talks. But the symposium was running behind schedule, so we actually made it to the talk. But you're like, Pookie, we have to go. And I'm like, I don't care about being on time for a speech. Feeding the hummingbirds is far more important.
And I let it go, didn't I?
You did. And then you filled up the 2 empty hummingbird feeders.
I filled up the feeders. I never complained once. I didn't say, we're going to be late. You made us
That's
late.
because I was
This is
really
made late.
freaking out.
But I didn't. And we got there, and the talk was late.
Yes.
Which happens consistently on the last day of the event. I feel bad for them, but I got there late again, and there are fire trucks there because the hotel, for a climate change conference, had overheated. The fire alarms had gone off, sprinkler system had gone off. They had to move all the talks, and so there was like fire and flood in a sense at the climate change event.
Yes.
The irony is not lost. But you couldn't be late. You were exactly where you were, exactly when you were supposed to be there.
So we got a whole bunch of questions. And I apologize. We did say we are going to be more interactive, but I thought the questions would be related to what we were talking about. Yep. So I waited, but is now a good time?
Now is a good time. I'm tempted, for our audience sake, to take this feeder right here and put it behind us so people can enjoy more of the birds that come to land.
Which feeder?
This one right here.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think the regular birds are going to land?
If I put that, no, back there, so that they can see it on camera.
back there.
So
All the way back.
on
Oh,
that hook, because you can see
that
it
hook. Okay.
right
Well,
there.
I'll go do that.
You'll go do that.
Yeah.
All right. So give
Can
me the first
you?
question, and then if you can hang the, because we have so many, we have dozens of birds around here at any minute, along with chipmunks, squirrels, and some other things. Although they're keeping the distance with a live feed.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted to share the birds with people.
So, well, real quick before we jump into questions,
Mhm.
if you're new here, please subscribe and hit the little bell icon for notifications if you want to join us again. We're on live every Tuesday, 5:20 Mountain Time.
And we have at least 2 or 3 shows go live a week with different guests from around the world, such as today's guest being Wim Hof, the Iceman. So do you have a question?
Yes. Lucy Harris writes, a couple months ago, I closed my heart to protect it from a hurtful circumstance. It affected my connection spiritually and intuitively. How do I get it back open?
Great question, Lucy. And I'm so sorry for whatever you went through, that you felt that you had to close your heart. So let's get your heart back open. And there are many techniques, Lucy, to do this. I think the most important thing is, it's twofold for you, Lucy. And I tend to be a kitchen sink kind of guy. So I tend to look at a dozen different ways of doing different things and say, let's do all of them. But what's coming to me, there's a technique that I want to do on self-love, but what's coming to me is we need forgiveness. And we get to forgive yourself, Lucy, for anything that's taken place and for anything that's put yourself in this situation. And you can literally just practice saying, I forgive myself. You can literally picture yourself as a baby, holding yourself as a baby in your arms and rocking and cradling her. You can go for a walk, go do a quiet meditation and go for a walk with your little child, hand in hand, in your hand. Imagine what she looked like as a child and go for a walk, sit down on a park bench and tell her how sorry you are and how much you're here to love and support her and to protect her and take care of her. And what can I do to help you? And then most importantly, I want you to go, it's a prayer I share all the time because it's so powerful. I want you to go to the Hawaiian healing and forgiveness prayer called Ho'oponopono. And Jessica's going, oh God, I've got to spell that again. Ho'oponopono. And it has 4 lines to it. And I want you to repeat them over and over and over again, Lucy. I love you. You're saying, I love you to myself. I forgive you. You're saying, I forgive myself. I am sorry. You're saying sorry to yourself. Thank you. You're giving gratitude to yourself. I love you. Please forgive me. I guess I got that backwards. I am sorry. Thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. I am sorry. Thank you. Over and over again.
Oh, whoops. I typoed.
I love you. Please forgive me. I am sorry. Thank you. And then I want you, as much as you can, it could be in public, it could be in private, I want you putting your hand over your heart. It's going to look really, really funny. Maybe don't do this in front of a mirror until you're ready. I love you. I love you. I love you. Kamal Ravikant has a beautiful, beautiful book called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. And that's what I want you to do, Lucy, is just love yourself up. Now, certainly we can go to emotion code. We can go to EFT tapping. There's some really advanced energy techniques we can do for healing. But I think these 2 or 3, that and walking with your inner child, are probably the most beautiful places to start. And love yourself up no matter what. Again, it comes back to forgiveness, because lockdown means don't feel I'm safe, and maybe don't feel I'm safe from myself. Why did I do X, Y, or Z that led to this? Why did I allow this person into my life? Why did I allow this to happen? We get to drop all of that and realize it's all good, it's all God, and go to that place of love and forgiveness. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant question, Lucy. Go to the next question, and thank you for getting the feeder up there.
Oh, sure. From Diana, I've been struggling with changing my mindset. I did have an intuitive coach who was kind and good, a good listener, but it didn't feel like anything was changing. What do I do? I don't want to give my power away.
That's a great question. That's actually several great points and questions you're making, Diana. And it is very easy to give our power away, to say, whether it's myself, whether it's an intuitive coach, whomever it is, to say, here, let me give you the keys to me. You tell me what to do. But really, what we get to do is really give the keys away to ourselves. We are God. We are source. We are universe. Okay, that sounds like blasphemy. We are God. We are the wave on the ocean, but we are part of the ocean as well. We're an individual expression. I like to say we're the rose on the bush. We are an individual representation of the divine, which is the whole bush. And we are part of the whole bush. But the rose doesn't have all the answers. And the rose talking to another rose doesn't get all the answers. The rose gets the answers by drawing back in, back down the branch, back into the center, back into the heart of consciousness. And that's where the answers are found, not from somebody else's intuition. In fact, if you worked with me as a coaching client, one of the first things that I tell you is, if I tell you that I have the answers, go run. Run as fast as you can, kicking and screaming, and get away. Because nobody can have the answers for you. Nobody. Even you, meaning your thinking mind, can't have the answers for you. It all comes from doing a deep dive on the inside. Now, things like automatic writing, and I'll make a shameless plug. Automatic writing is what changed our lives. It's kind of our, I don't know what you call it, Cadillac Premier program, Tesla program, to help change you, or to help you dive in on the inside and hear your inner wisdom talking to you. That's automaticwriting.com. I can't recommend it enough. You get to do things like that on a regular daily basis. And then you get to catch your thoughts and begin to rewire. When I coach, Jessica always cringes when I tell people, I become a worm in your mind. I help you to catch those thoughts, to recognize them and replace them with something else. But you can do that on your own as well. It can be as simple as taking an index card around with you, and each time you catch yourself having a negative thought, write it down and then put a tick mark next to it the next time and the next time, and start to recognize your thinking. And then you can flip that card over and start to write down the antidotes, so that each time you say that, oh my God, I can't believe I'm late again, as an expression, you write down on the other side of the card, I'm never late. I'm always exactly where I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to be. And you say that each time that you catch yourself doing that. Or you say, oh my God, I can't believe I'm late again. And you flip the card over and you say to yourself, uh, I love myself. And so in other words, what I'm saying is, you have a dwelling thought. You write down the dwelling thought. This is my dwelling antidote exercise. I've mentioned it a few times before. The dwelling you put on one side of the card, on the other side is the antidote. The antidote can be pausing. It can be taking in 1 or 2 or 3 sweet breaths. It can be replacing that thought with another thought. It can be doing an exercise. It can be anything. But as you start to do the dwelling and antidote exercise, rather than somebody just listening to you, you're finding an action to take to help rewire your mind. Hope that helps, Diana. Send you all our love. All right, next question.
Okay, we got 2 more questions.
Excellent. Perfect timing.
Eco Hiker writes,
Mhm.
there. Knowing if you are making a decision from surrendering versus an ego-based decision has to do with the feeling, yes? Often I make a decision and my mind argues or is insecure with my decision.
So, yes, Eco Hiker, it has to do with the feeling. It has to do with cultivating an awareness. Now, coming back to automatic writing, that is a way that you can dive in and hear your highest wisdom so that you can start to cultivate it. Muscle testing, things like this or like that, so that you can say, how does my body feel about something, is a way to dive into that intuitive knowing as well. It is a practice. It takes cultivation. It takes working on it. Jessica, how have you worked to cultivate that inner wisdom or inner knowing so that you're not going and fighting with your mind on your decisions?
I think the practice of automatic writing actually helped a lot. And I don't know if you want to describe really briefly what that is
Sure. I
in a
mean,
sentence or two?
automatic writing is we'll call it a meditative journaling, third person experience. Third person means you quiet the mind, you say some prayers to get into the special place, to create the sacred vessel, to call in assistance. And then you allow the pen to write, which tends to be gibberish at first, like, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write. And then wisdom starts popping up.
Yeah.
You are loved, you are safe, you are special. And as you develop, it's like dating. First, you start to get to know the other person, you start to make this connection. And then, as you start to build a really strong connection with them, you start to get profound guidance and can have this communication, this conversation. I make it akin to another guest we had on the show, Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God, of literally being able to put your questions out there to the universe.
So after you've been doing that for a while, you start to hear. So in the beginning, when you're doing the writing, you don't necessarily hear voices in your head. It's just the words flow out of the pen, or if you're typing. But after a while of doing that, you tend to have the answers pop up when you ask yourself a question, like randomly, like maybe even when you're not asking a question, you're walking to your car and suddenly you hear, "Don't forget to buy toilet paper."
I love it.
What?
So true.
Okay.
And even here, when I coach, when I have an interview, or when we're doing this, both of us will go quiet. You'll actually still see me on occasion go katunk, da, and the answer is there.
Yeah. So the practice of automatic writing is opening that doorway, and it's fine tuning that skill of listening, or being open.
And I think it's even cranking up that volume. So because the voice has always
That's a good way
been
of
there,
putting it.
but we don't hear it because of the chatter of the mind, and we don't recognize it. And so we can turn up the volume to hear it more easily. And then there's less of that argument, eco hiker, that you're talking about, of head versus heart, so to speak, because it's louder. Now we can still veto it, and we can still run into challenges, particularly when it is emotionally charged. So for some of us, that might be finances. For some of us, it might be relationship. For another, it might be the landlord. When it's financially charged, it takes more work to cultivate it before we're, yes, this fly keeps landing on my ears. I'm wondering what it is trying to tell me. There's a
You
message.
didn't put olive oil on your ear, did you?
I did not put olive oil. I slathered olive oil on some popcorn right before this. It was so good. It's been a really hot day here, and I was craving salt, and I went with my craving. But it's a practice, eco hiker, and it is building a relationship with yourself, not with the mind. The last thing that I have on this topic is that the mind is the bus driver. It's not the camp director. And so your bus driver can get you from A to B, but how does it know where to go? It's the tool, it's not the creator. Your inner self, your inner wisdom, which you can connect to with a practice like automatic writing, that is going to tell you where you get to go. Then you tell the bus driver, get me there. But the reverse, when the bus driver is arguing with you and saying, this is where we need to go, that's where we need to step back and say, wait a second, who is driving the ship? The crazy thing is, we've been taught since we were little kids to let the bus driver have its way and control the show. And the head inherently does not know more than the heart. And by heart, not just talking this heart, I'm talking consciousness. If you look at like heart math, and Howard Martin, who we've had on the show several times, you can Google him here. He talks about the field of energy, the heart putting out, being so much more powerful than the head. When the head tries to drive the ship, you have heart attacks. When the heart tries to drive the ship, the head coalesces eventually, and you find a greater relaxation, peace, less anxiety, and more flow. That's where the miracles come from.
But you don't have head attacks.
No, that's called an anxiety attack, though. I think in the society, we are very prone to anxiety
no, I mean,
attacks.
when you're trying to listen to your heart, your mind fights back in the beginning.
It fights back
And then there's a tug of war.
So you may have heard this story before. When I first started, and there was a guest earlier, someone earlier tonight who was, we were talking about self-love and forgiveness. When I first did the practice of I love myself, it was in the bathroom,
Yeah.
and I took the shower curtain rod, which last week you were saying I hadn't heard about the rod, but that was what I used to redecorate the bathroom, and I smashed a mirror trying to smash myself because my ego wasn't accepting the message of the heart. And I had to learn that I had to gingerly, with love,
Mhm.
go, I like, is that safe? Is like myself? No, you mother. Bleep, 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 bleep. Okay. How about I not even try to like myself, but I just take a few breaths, and then I take a few more, and then I'll do a little meditating, and then I'll quiet the mind. And basically, as I was working on meditation, what I was doing is slowly, if you picture a trampoline, it's attached by all these springs to a pipe of metal around it. I'm very slowly unhooking one spring, a little bit less tension, unhooking the next one, a little bit tension, until I've gone the whole way around and there's no tension left. And then I could say I love myself without taking place.
All right.
Last
Last
question.
question from Zoe Blue 111. So if you have blocks you aren't aware of, does the reasoning that you're still is that the reason you're still on the path? Yeah, I think.
Does the reason, I'm going to say this differently. So if you have blocks you aren't aware of, does the reasoning that you're still on the path still
Still.
stand?
Okay, you read that better.
Yes, perfectly, Zoe. What a perfect example. Yes, 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 yes. Why? Because you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now to learn certain things. And when you learn certain things, doors will open without judgment. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're like us being late to the concert, which was exactly where we're supposed to be. We had blocks, literal, physical blocks, traffic on a Sunday afternoon that was worse than rush hour traffic. And we're going, what in the world? They're literal physical blocks, SUVs, Escalades, Hondas, you name it, blocking path from our yellow Tessie. Why are these cars here? So that we would be exactly at the right place at exactly at the right time to meet these most amazing people who would carry us to this most amazing evening. We don't have to think it. We don't have to go, yeah, but. We can. We can argue with our mind all day long. Mind will win. Or we can just let go into it and say, if there aren't blocks I'm aware of, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Perfect. And all right, let's play with these blocks. I'm not aware of what they are. What will I do? Get a coach, get a mentor, dive into automatic writing, do emotional freedom technique to try to uncover them, do Dr. Bradley Nelson's emotion code work, do shamanic journeying, and go down and find a guide in the underworld, as they call it. Not a dark place, but a place where there are guides waiting to help give you answers. Do soul retrieval work. There's so many different techniques you can do to uncover those blocks. And it can literally start with just being at peace with where you are. And you go, I'm at peace. I'm at peace. I'm at peace. Yes, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And now that I feel good about where I'm supposed to be, what can I do to step forward? That's what I call the two-step dance, Zoe. The two-step dance is allowing and surrendering into and stepping forward. So I allowed and stepped into the fact that there was going to be magic coming out of this weekend if I didn't force it, and still going to the events. There was a magic that was going to come out of going to out of this surrender after I met with this medium if I stepped forward, which included a bike ride to the parade. You don't have to know what it is. You don't have to know what you need to do. Feel, stumble, trip your way forward at peace and in love with the process. even in the traffic and the blocks of it, even in the discomfort of it, even in the, oh my God, my beautiful wheel. I know this sounds vain, but we've all done it. We've all kicked ourselves for it. I can't believe I did this to my wheel. Even in that, go, all right, perfect. Guidance hurts. And it's just as it is. I still love myself. So, Zoe, I would take the kitchen sink to this challenge of finding what these blocks are, but realizing this is going to be very much coming from the Tao, just to say that which calls itself the Tao is not the Tao. That which calls itself a block is not a block. It is exactly the right piece of the puzzle at exactly the right time to help you exactly where you're supposed to go. With that said, want to see if Jessica has any last words of wisdom before that she wants to share before I dive into a coaching session and end up doing what I'm doing with you here this evening like this and doing this one-on-one with somebody.
Elizabeth George likes your hair.
Cool. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm liking it more and more. I had never, ever in a million years thought of doing my hair up. Even the concept doing my hair up
Why it's a hairdo
is very good point. Is very foreign to me, but I love it, Elizabeth. And
there were a few happy birthdays. Scrolling. Deborah says, "Happy birthday, Michael."
Thank you, Deborah.
Bethany says, "You guys are precious."
Thank you, Bethany.
I know Simply Faye was really happy that we were still doing these lives.
Thank you, Simply Faye. All right. We've got coaching. If you want a coaching session, a free one-on-one strategy session to see if coaching, specifically, if you're serious about coaching with me, come on over to inspirenationshow.com/coaching. If you want to get behind the scenes information on the show and all sorts of goodies and support the show, come on over to patreon.com, patreon.com/inspirenation. Instagram, we are kicking it on Instagram. Lots of fun, cool stuff. Us out on the trails as playing, us at the symphony, us with the French horns. You'll have to check it out. You can go to, our Instagram, which is Inspire Nation Live. And make sure you subscribe, and click on that bell, that ding, 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 notification icon to find out when the next show comes out and find out when our next live is. Anything else you want to share with people, Pookie?
Mick Sandler is going to make a reappearance on Patreon, right?
Good eye.
Mick? That's Mick Sandler.
Yeah, I won't go there on the live, but I will go there on Patreon. It is the Michael Shine Bright alter ego who likes to come out to play. The biggest challenge that we have is we create all this great content. We have to find a way to get it to you on social media. We are working on this one. We send all our love your way. It's magical. I'm so glad that all of you are joining us. There's an energy to it. When there are only a handful of people, it's kind of slow. It's kind of hard to get going. But the more of you who show up, we can feel your love. We can feel your challenges too. And that is actually fuel. Understand we have fear and excitement backwards. Fear is excitement without deliberate motion. When we have an idea of where to step forward or how to step forward, or we surrender and leave it to the universe to step forward, that fear starts to melt away and become the childlike joy and excitement that we once have. I see Jessica keep looking up at my hair, so I imagine she's writing something about it.
I was just going to say that it looks even better in person in 3D. Well, I guess when you turn the 3D thing, so never mind.
We love you guys. We love you guys. We love you guys. We look forward to seeing you next week. Above and beyond all else,
attract some miracles.
Yes.
Love
Write
yourself.
us back. Comment. I want to see how many people attract miracles this week.
Yeah.
I want to see how many people jump into flow. I want to see how many people are able to move past some blocks and some obstacles by letting go into it. Yeah.
Letting go into it.
Woohoo. Love you guys. All right. I got to go coach. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.